Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath,
the podcast where we discuss relationships in movies and our relationships with them.
I'm Polina Grunbaum.
And I'm Diana Rojek-Sconard.
Hello, Diana.
Hey, Polina.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. I think
Sweet.
our voices are kind of interesting this week. We're dealing with as we record this, there's some air quality issues in the Bay Area.
I feel like I
and
need
then
to...
you're recovering.
I'm
from
recovering
a cold.
from a cold. I feel like I need to take the nasal up a notch. Why are we torturing our listeners?
Because that's what we do.
We gotta get.
Why are you still here? go do something.
No,
Okay.
If anyone asks, it's the air quality.
It's like day 5 where it's intense. But not as intense as the people who are more directly affected by the fire. So
I thought you were going to say not as intense as My Blue Heaven. I'm like, this movie's not that intense?
That was very, very emotional for me. Okay, so
Well, Steve Martin is the stereotype to end all stereotypes of Italian men.
or so this movie would have you believe.
And yet, for some reason, I was imagining him flailing his arms even more so than he did.
That's your memory is of more flailing.
I don't know. I was anticipating it. My memory is
Yeah.
not necessarily that. Okay,
He's
Blue
a
Heaven.
fantastic actor.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. We're talking about My Blue Heaven for this episode. This was my pick.
Yes.
I take full responsibility
As you
for this
should.
pick. And for those of you unfamiliar, My Blue Heaven is 1990. And the synopsis from IMDb says, an all too uptight FBI agent must protect a larger-than-life mobster with a heart of gold, currently under witness protection in the suburbs. Time out, IMDb synopsis.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to kind of like say, heart of gold.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, already not quite.
No, I
not
mean,
quite.
like, he kind of grows to like his surroundings in a way.
Yeah.
But okay, fine. It stars Steve Martin as Vincent Vinnie
He kind of gets tricked into having a heart of gold.
Antonelli. I don't know about tricked is the right word. Rick Moranis, Joan Cusack. Ding, 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 ding,
Oh
ding,
my
ding,
God!
ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
And then also
There is a lot of Joan Cusack in this movie, which is a point in its favor.
There's also Carol Kane, Deborah
Oh
Rush,
my God.
Bill Irwin, William Hickey, and then let's see, I want to make sure I get this name right, Melanie Mayron. So
Yes.
So here's the deal. I don't know if I got to convey to you correctly, so whatever notes you have, I'm going to apologize in advance. It is the Rick Moranis Joan Cusack relationship that is the focus of my notes.
That's good. I was assuming.
Because while I remember Vinnie having the multiple wives and the multiple girlfriends, or however you want to put it, to me, it was all about Barney Cooper Smith and Hannah Stubbs. And,
I agree.
And I think it's very easy to, but watching this again. So, okay. I saw this. If this came out in 1990, it was on VHS at the time. I remember owning the DVD in my later years as I made my...
In the later years?
In the later years, yeah. As I was trying to...
later years.
Well, no, I mean, not in like my retirement years.
It's like, it's the future, and Diana is retired and just watches My Blue Heaven over every morning. That's her routine.
I was out of college and I was watching My Blue Heaven. No, never mind.
How did you acquire this VHS?
The
Tell me.
VHS? Oh.
The first time. Not in your later years.
I'm trying to
In your
remember.
less mature years.
You know, I don't think I actually had the VHS as in purchased. I had the VHS as in recorded off of television
Seems safe.
because I thought this movie...
HBO free preview weekend?
No, it was edited. So this was one of those...
Oh, that's hysterical.
It could have been like Fox on like a Wednesday night movie or something like that.
Yeah.
Monday night movie. No.
Yeah, they know Monday night movie.
But I don't
and
remember
Saturday nights, right?
I wasn't feeling Comedy Central. I wasn't feeling TBS. This was maybe it was TBS. I think it was TBS.
It might have been this is TBS written all over it.
Because as watching this movie, about to earn our explicit rating right now,
Ooh.
one of the best lines, "Have a nice day." Fuck you. Well, no, in the version that I knew, it was, up yours.
Now, had you seen the unedited version?
Well, when I owned the DVD, I did, but it's the edited version that sticks in my brain. And I'm trying to remember, there's a part where, okay, so Steve Martin is in the witness protection program from New York. He is apparently turning against his, what are they called?
Mob boss?
Well, yeah, mob bosses. I'm just about to say his commanders, his
Mob boss.
his generals,
Yeah. It's somebody in the...
his Tony Sopranos.
yeah.
He's turning state's evidence, and he's plopped in the middle of the suburbs. It's supposed to be the San Diego suburbs, and it's the town of Freiburg, you know, the nice suburbs. And Barney Cooper Smith is the FBI agent who is assigned to escort him and keep him protected until he can testify at the two trials. And then Hannah Stubbs is the local district attorney who keeps running into him because Vinnie keeps committing crimes.
Yeah, he basically hasn't quite figured out the details of his of what being in the witness protection program is. So I was actually looking at reviews of this, and one of the things that somebody pointed out that between 1980, like around 1988 to 1989, or maybe in this year, there were like 4 movies about being in the witness protection program. So there was like actual witness.
That actually came up in my Amazon Prime thing under romance movies, and I'm like, really? Are you
Witness?
sure?
Well, it is. It's a love story.
I don't know if it's a love story, but it's go on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's I don't know. It's a melodrama.
Romance? It was like number 2 on the list as I was scrolling down.
Okay, that seems a bit much.
Sure.
But it is. I mean, there's a love story.
Stupid algorithms.
It's a love story. It's just, and sadly, as I recall, I only saw it in 1990.
I don't remember how it ended, but apparently, spoiler. Okay, Witness? Go on.
Yeah, there was like a few others. I'm sorry, I didn't write them down. I admit, but there was like 4 other movies that were about the witness protection. It just seemed to be the thing. Well, to people were obsessed with this in 1989.
So when we were coming up with what to do next, and I just remember blurting out My Blue Heaven.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. I wanted to do something light. I wanted to do something fun, and it was what popped into my head because it's been in my email, in my inbox as a reminder to put it on the list of things to do.
Yes.
You're like, we need a movie. And I'm like, My Blue Heaven. Oh, okay. And so here we are. And I immediately thought like, oh my God, I don't think this movie is appropriate for the podcast. And then I looked it up and I'm like, written by Nora Ephron. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm getting pedigree. Hooray. Oh my God. But
Yeah, I couldn't, well, I never saw this movie.
You've never seen it before?
I never saw it.
So
until I saw Witness in the theater that year, and probably all the other movies that I
didn't write down. Well, what's interesting is that
because I got a new notebook. See,
so this
to
movie,
keep it pristine, it had to be very good.
If I read the trivia correctly, My Blue Heaven came out like 2 months before Goodfellas did.
Yeah,
and they're both about Henry Hill.
Well, there's a connection, which is that Nora Ephron was married to the screenwriter. Oh, no, the novel writer of the book that Goodfellas was based on. So there's this kind of like,
if I remember correctly, it's Nicholas Pileggi. And I have to say, don't say Mitch Pileggi, who was Skinner from The X-Files. I'm like, it's a Pileggi. Which one is it?
There's a Pileggi.
Which Pileggi is it? No, that's correct. But yeah, and apparently if you were to read an article, I read an article saying that Henry Hill was in contact with Nicholas Pileggi for the book. And at the same time, he would call the house and Nora Ephron would answer. He's like, no, he's not here right now. And then he would start talking to her about stuff.
Oh,
and apparently,
so there's a line from
he was actually kind of upset about it when this movie came out
because he thought it was based on him.
No, because he knows. He's like, that was a story I told her. He knew what she was writing. He was actually giving her some stories about what his experiences were because it was supposed to be based off of him and another person. And he saw the movie and he's just like, you know what? If it was any other person's wife.
Yeah.
I would like big veiled threat in the text. Basically,
I would show her. I would put a horse head in her bed.
First of all.
And here we begin.
First of all, how dare you?
How dare I make a pointed, like an Italian mob reference in a movie that is like the broadest
I'm just trying
caricature of an Italian mobster I've ever seen, but played by a really waspy guy with like the most distracting haircut I have ever seen on Steve Martin. I love Steve Martin's physical comedy is like, I'm actually not a big physical comedy person. I'm not really sure why.
Not
it's
a big
like,
fan.
But
Well, question: are you talking physical comedy like falling down, or physical comedy just in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, like falling down. I don't know.
Not a fan of the falling down.
As somebody who falls a lot, because I'm clumsy.
The rom-com, like,
I hate that whole thing.
Prerequisite.
But I do like,
clumsy.
or just that whole like, I like the Three Stooges type things. Like I don't know, seeing people like hurt themselves. I just always, it's a terrible like.
I don't like a pie in the face.
Adult mom reaction. Yeah, that does nothing to me. Where I feel like I'm like, I feel really middle aged when I'm like, ow. Like I'll watch The Simpsons.
The pain is real. That's a cartoon.
I know.
I'm talking about,
But it's very real. They're my friends. So is Bob's Burgers.
They have 4 fingers. How real are they?
They're just emotionally very real to me.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
Bob's Burgers. I mean, I'm sorry. I cry like practically every episode.
So wait, when Homer fell down Springfield Gorge.
Okay, that was hysterical. That is okay.
she's back.
Actually, The Simpsons, I have to say, like, yes, they're physical comedy. Also, I love Steve Martin. Like, Steve Martin moving is fantastic. He looks like a marionette.
I'm so happy you brought that up because I'm just realizing him leaving the pet store and he's just kind of dancing in front of a car honking at him.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, that's Steve Martin. Yeah. That's the Steve Martin I know. Let's ignore the fake Italian stereotype for a minute.
Yeah.
I
was not prepared for that because I didn't really know. And I thought, okay, well, it's like a broad comedy, whatever. Like I could tell.
Yeah.
You can tell from the
hair.
From the hair. Oh my God, the hair is if you haven't seen this movie, fine. But just watch you can't even look at a photo of it. We have to find an actual we have to find a GIF of the hair because watching the hair move is like so distracting and insane.
Well, also there's supposed to be this like long-standing thing about Steve Martin and his hair and like how he's been going bald since like the 70s because he's been gray since the 70s, but it's like not.
He never goes bald. He just goes gray.
But no, that's my point though, is that there's like a thing where it's like fake or something. I'm like, I don't know.
No. Well, I don't know what they did to his hair. And it was also not very gray. It was kind of a weird color. But the whole thing is he's supposed to be really stylish, which is another like hysterical thing.
It's horrible.
Well, some part of me is, I mean, I think Steve Martin is quite stylish, but in real life. But but I don't see enough men in suits. So I'm delighted when anyone wears a suit.
But a lot of the suits were really bad.
But those suits, yes. They were all like silk, shark skin, and shiny.
They were too shiny
and
for
really
me.
Expensive.
$1,200.
$1,200 in 1990
for one suit.
That's an expense.
I would be pissed off the way Barney was pissed off.
I would be too. But anyway, so
all right. So Steve Martin has been brought in. His wife, apparently, she stuck around just long enough for him to get the spouse salary that comes with the witness protection program, the extra incentives, and the nice house and everything. So she splits
like instantly. She basically gets there.
They get dropped off, and then she bolts. So he's all trying to get to know his neighborhood.
He's lost wife number one.
And as far as we know, wife number one in this continuity.
Yeah,
who knows what's happening beforehand? And so you got Barney Cooper Smith, Rick Moranis' character. His wife leaves him. She is a therapist who is leaving her husband for one of her patients who is a minor league ball player. So that was uncomfortable. anytime you see the whole
And also like seemed a little younger.
oh yeah, he's like 26, and I would imagine they're supposed to be in like their
30s, I would say at least.
late 30s,
yeah, late
exactly.
30s, yeah.
Which is not such a big difference, but at the same
Well,
time.
no, I know, but she's his therapist. Like,
I'm going to focus on the
let's
therapist
review.
part, and so there's that piece.
This is inappropriate. Number one.
Yeah. Also, the power dynamic of therapist.
Yeah. And I also like the whole conversation. You know where it's gonna go, but you're like when he's like, "Oh, I'm getting sent down," and he talks about how this is the thing. He's a terrible ball player,
According to the radio announcement on the way in.
Exactly.
He
He's
gave
like
up an 8-run lead.
Yes, and so he's.
I don't even know baseball, but I knew what that meant.
That's just not good. No. And he
Poor Padres.
I know. And then so then he goes to and basically you can kind of tell like where it's going because there's this kind of sad. There's already this like presentation of him as a sad sack.
Oh, okay. Very important. Rewatching this, and Barney Cooper Smith, the Rick Moranis' character's wife, is trying to explain why she's leaving. I'm sorry, Barney, it's no fun here anymore. You're no fun. And she explains that he gets his haircut on every fourth Thursday. Mm-hmm. He never gets a different haircut. He gets the oil changed on the fifth Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Look at the way you eat pancakes. And I'm like,
that's actually smart.
I was about to say,
I want him to teach me how to eat pancakes that way.
Apparently, Wally, the ball player, is very curious. She's like, "Look at the way you eat pancakes. What's wrong with the way I eat pancakes? How do you eat pancakes?" He has a system for eating Wait, okay.
Where you get the butter on
the syrup.
The
Syrup. There's as much syrup on the top pancake as there is on the bottom one.
I want to know what this is.
Let's talk about this some more. And she's like deriding for it. If anything, that's the kind of thing.
The haircut thing. He's a guy. Like people do that.
Also, it's like punctuality.
But I get it. But I also get like where you're living with somebody who can't like.
No, he's getting it done though.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think those are good examples. But this is not a woman with excellent judgment. Let's review.
He's getting the oil changed regularly.
That's nice. That means that she's going to keep that car for a long time.
Yeah.
But I would assume that those are that like there are other things that he does where everything's a system, and so it's kind of exhausting because there is no spontaneity. So I'm okay
with that.
But I don't think I think the haircut thing makes perfect sense.
It wasn't a great haircut. But
that's
I'm not going to
actually the other, but not as bad as Steve Martin.
I'm not going to divorce my husband because of his haircut.
I kind of feel like leaving him. Like I feel like he is an FBI agent, which is kind of fascinating. That's like they make it look really boring, and I think that's
the point. Yeah, he wants to go undercover.
Yeah, but
he's
I
also
kind of feel like he's
rules.
an FBI agent. That's like really interesting, and he's serving our country. And he's leaving for a bad ball player who's in the minors.
It's just that
she might lose her license. Like I kind of feel like she has bad judgment, and he's well rid of her.
No,
she doesn't show good judgment.
There's no denying it. There, she's nitpicking. She's just looking for a reason.
Also, okay, how do you do this? So, the pancakes. Do you think he gets another plate?
I don't think so.
So then you put like half the pancakes on one plate. I don't eat I really like I don't eat a lot of pancakes. I really enjoy them when I do, but one of the things that's irritating is this exact problem. So
I think you are focusing on the pancakes individually as a whole. I think what he does instead is he has a slicing technique that involves each bite has as much as the bottom as the lower one in terms of bite.
But even if you do that, because I'm a slicer, even if you do that, you're going to get like a center and a bottom, which doesn't have any pancakes. So when it hits your mouth, it's not going to have any syrup. Only syrup is going to be on the top.
But she said he had a system for eating them, and it's how the top one gets as much as the bottom one. I think he's speaking in terms of pieces on his fork, and bites, not actual this pancake and this pancake. And now they're equal. I would imagine it involves a dip.
So I feel like at the dip, there needs to be a bit of time with the pancake where like the syrup needs to like get into contact with the pancake for just a little while.
Sure.
so that it can absorb a little bit. Not forever.
We're clearly
Okay.
not
Anyway,
into
this is the part of the movie that attracted me the best. But I do have some questions for you before we go into this, and they're not about pancakes, though pancakes can be delicious. They are about. So when you watch this, you saw it when you were a kid. Was it like so you recorded it?
Yep.
Did you watch it with your family? Did you watch it alone? When did you watch it? Under what circumstances?
I would imagine. So I'm imagining this time. So there was a period where I had my own TV, a TV VCR combo in my room.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that this I watched in the front room before that even happened. So this was like still the family.
Like 12?
I would say like maybe 9.
Okay.
Maybe 9.
Super little kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a super little kid?
No, but it's just like for the purposes of this podcast.
But I also imagine my 8-year self is still as brilliant as my now self.
Oh, totally. I'm not denying it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I knew a lot of calculus back then, apparently.
You might have done
Damn it,
better.
I didn't. No. Go on.
I didn't know any calculus at 9. I fought my father trying to teach me calculus.
Okay, I wasn't.
I really regret that.
I wasn't serious.
Sorry, Dad.
Anyways.
Why did you try to teach a 9-year-old calculus, Dad? Why? How did you think that was going to go? Anyway. Okay.
I'm jealous.
Aside.
I'm about like 9 years old.
You're about 9 years old.
Yeah.
And you're watching this as this like after school, while eating after school snack kind of thing, or just like with the family?
I can see that too. I'm eating ramen at home. Yeah. Yeah. No, not real ramen, like packaged ramen.
Yeah, like packaged ramen. Yeah.
No, that's not real. I still ate it.
I eat it now.
I'm imagining myself.
I have a Costco-sized thing of ramen. It took me 2.5 years to work through the last one.
Amateur.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little kid. I'm watching this, and I can see myself having it on, especially since it was the edited on television version of it.
Yeah.
So I can see myself just that.
So what was it? Why this movie on repeat?
I do love a good comedy.
Yes.
Steve Martin, Saturday Night Live, all of the above, just good stuff, a good comedy, laughing. I don't think there was anything in particular. I mean, I'm having flashbacks to like this old monologue from Steve Martin's Saturday Night Live where he's talking about how for the first time he's not just going to phone it in. He's going to like, do the show for real, and he's really excited about it. And there's this one line where he says just like, I feel so young anymore. I feel like I'm 38. that just gets me every time.
Also, I forgot until I kind of looked up because we were trying to figure out what what other movies he made like before and after this. Like we're trying to figure out where it was in his oeuvre. And I forgot that about the Academy Awards. Like he hosted the Academy Awards a couple times.
He did do that. I mean, my family quotes The Jerk, but various parts of it. Again, mine is the edited version of it, whereas my family, they know the not edited versions of it, but will quote things back and forth.
See, it's
the dog's name in The Jerk had to be edited for television.
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah, you say of course, but I didn't know that. So in the edited version, the dog's name was stupid. And there also is a dog name in this movie as well, which I think is really funny. It's Italian though. So did you not get that thing where he was looking at the puppies and I miss my dog?
Oh, yeah, no, I got
And she
that.
got all upset because of the dog's name. I don't want to say it, but apparently it's very not good in Italian.
So you were like, yeah, you guys were just kind of good, big Steve Martin fans. Because actually, I was surprised I didn't see this movie. I was a Steve Martin fan because a few years before I'd had his albums, his comedy albums, which I bought at some garage sale.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I'm like, I don't know Steve Martin's stand-up.
Oh my God. It's, first off, I just want to say King Tut is like still like,
I saw that
it
later.
cheers me up
and I love it
so much. It cheers me up so much. Like playing King Tut is my like, it just puts me in almost as good of a place as as DuckTales. Woohoo. Which I only discovered recently, so I can't really.
Well, if I may build on that.
Yes, please.
This music, when they're dancing the merengue.
Oh my God, merengue scene is definitely like I would we need to find a link to that scene.
I watched that on a repeat.
That's what I was going to ask. What did you watch on repeat?
I did. I definitely watched all of that on a repeat.
I love the merengue scene.
When Vinnie is teaching Barney to dance, and then the fact that he does it so well, I'm going to say it's because Barney knows how to take instruction very well, because he's dancing amazingly.
And then later on, he teaches
Hannah Joan
Thank
Cusack.
you. I was like,
yeah,
what's Joan Cusack? June. Okay, I'm
Cusack.
going to try not to do that.
Yeah, and he teaches
Hannah.
her to dance too.
Yeah,
and
then he's like an amazing dancer, and he's learned merengue like one time.
I would watch that, and I would watch that, both of them, both dance sequences.
The dance sequences are pretty much the best ones, which we're going back to Steve Martin being like really fun to watch move.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So I'm trying to piece it together. I'm like, well, no, it really wasn't a stand-up. I remember Steve Martin when he was in the Tom Hanks monologue of Saturday Night Live, when Tom Hanks was talking about being in the Five Timers Club, and I thought that was amazing. And it's just like, okay, was the Jerk? Well, kind of. Was it Father of the Bride? No, not really. I mean, I know that movie, but it isn't really that.
Liked Father of the Bride.
We will quote Steve Martin's tiny role in The Muppets, where he's the waiter.
Oh my God.
We will say,
God. I love
would
when
you
he's
like
in
to
the-
smell the bottle cap? That is something in my family. And it's just like,
So
yes.
My Blue Heaven like made sense because it would have been the next movie.
Well, yeah, he's got like, I mean, I remember watching All of Me. I could tell you how it ends. I could tell you various pieces of it, but a lot of it is just gone. I just know I watched it.
Yep.
It's just like
too.
anything like Steve Martin does. Like, okay, yes, Three Amigos, it's there, but I don't have it in my psyche. It's just like, I have Martin.
Three Amigos is not in my psyche. I don't even think
I remember Martin Short so like the wind, and I Am Still With You, El Guapo. But again, it's not really there.
I have nothing.
I missed Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, that was a great one.
I missed Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. So like anybody who's all upset about like how they're remaking it, I don't know. It's just he's in so much, and a lot of it is amazing. I did watch Sergeant Bilko a lot.
I never saw Sergeant Bilko.
It's just a little pieces of it. It's there. It's interesting. It's not good, but for some reason, Steve Martin trying to get something over on somebody, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was funny. And it was at my access, I mean, there's also the episode of The Simpsons where Homer's running for sanitation commissioner. And it's just Steve Martin and it's the character, but it's like little pieces of it.
It's just great. Yeah.
It just like, he just kind of permeates, and he's there. He's like my Bill Murray, where everyone just worships at the altar of Bill Murray. And I'm like, yeah, he's cool, but it's like, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin was a big part of my, I don't know if I'm like I'm just not a completist, but like I loved, Steve Martin is definitely, like I've read all the books that he's done. I even like watching him play bluegrass.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I mean, and
he's multifaceted.
He's like just he is such an interesting guy. So we have and I loved LA Story. I love LA Story.
He's a wild and crazy guy.
He's just a wild and crazy guy.
There you go.
So anyway, we but there's like a lot of movies they started making around this time that were kind of, I don't know. And this, I think that's where I felt like that's probably why I never saw this movie when it came out.
Again, a lot of his movies can just kind of
plus I was too busy watching movies like Gothic or whatever it was I was watching at the time, whatever dark, like morose, weird, like stuff.
I'm probably going to be over extrapolating way too much just for the purposes of the podcast, but listening to the music again, listening to the merengue, his instructions still just work in my head as it's happening. And his big thing was move your hips, and then he gets he moves up against Rick Moranis and just kind of like flails the hips, and they do this really cool move.
But he kind of comes up behind him, and it's
he
this
does,
really
and
intimate
it is.
moment.
You have to, no, it's not about the intimate moment so much. It's just like, oh my god, that's what I do when I dance when nobody's looking. I'm constantly like, just like trying to get the motion going of what he was trying to teach Rick Moranis in that particular thing. Move your hips.
Yeah,
and that's always my instinct when I'm dancing. When no one's watching.
Why not when you're in a public place?
Because first of all, the merengue needs to be playing.
Okay. So you dance. So by your your private dance party involves the merengue.
I didn't say I knew how to do the merengue so much as just
The My Blue Heaven merengue.
I do like a good beat. I do like a good beat.
Yeah.
In the second,
Also, I love that the primary joke in this movie, a repeating joke, is people wearing suits and the merengue.
yes,
There's a merengue montage, not just a dance montage, a merengue montage that finishes with a shootout that finishes with a fantastic chandelier
falling.
But you get to really appreciate that chandelier.
So in the middle of the whole merengue scene, the first one, you got Barney and you got Vinnie, and they're dancing at a club, and somebody tips off the people that he's back in town. These two guys, nice mobster stereotypes, the real kind, not the Steve Martin kind, come in and they shoot him, and Barney is able to shoot the chandelier before it gets to them. And I'm thinking, he knows how to shoot a gun.
Well, that was actually cool
He's
because
trained.
basically he's this he's like the schlubby, I think we referred to like, the
I wouldn't call him schlubby so much as I would call him dorky.
yeah, but like,
Because he seems, when I hear schlubby, I think like overweight. And he seems to be, he seems trim.
I guess I'm thinking like schlub, like, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a Yiddish word. But basically, I guess
All
I'm
my
thinking
Yiddish words are curse words.
Are you sure?
No, verklempt. Wait, what is
That's
that?
not a curse word.
I found one.
It means, it's kind of like, I'm like, it means you're overwhelmed and you're like, I can't talk. I'm verklempt.
Well, that's just my life story.
Yeah, me too.
No.
But I get like
Schlubby?
yeah, like
Yiddish?
schlubby, like he's that's not the word, but he's basically like he's one of those the stereotype in a movie where he's like, he's kind of a sad sack.
Yep.
He's not he's not really happy. He's a dork, but like I always think dork is like, he's kind of happy, but he's not. He's like, nothing in his life is really working out. He's bored at work. He lives this very like rigid life. Like he's just not enjoying himself, and he's kind of, one of those guys who always steps in puddles in movies. So then, so basically this is that whole like fish out of water thing where he like, I mean, not fish out of water. I mean, there was a fish out of water part, but like that basically it's these two mismatched guys who each have something to teach each other. But the greatest thing is
One's too uptight, one's not uptight enough.
And like but the one thing that he does is basically, so he like, Steve Martin's character, Vincent, is very like, super confident, super cocky, like,
He was a con man.
yeah, he's a con man. He can't even help himself. It's like he just takes pleasure in it. Like it's not even malicious. This is why the heart of gold thing is a little weird.
Yeah.
But he literally just cannot think of another human being. At all. Like he's so
When he's arrested for stealing a car, he's telling all of these stories. Oh, that's what happened. I jump-started the wrong car.
Yeah. It's like it just comes up. But anyway, and even like he can't even like he can't even go to the supermarket without trying to con the supermarket people. Like he finds a price gun and then just remarks all of the beef and then just like buys like 1,000 sticks. Like he can't exist in the normal world. He doesn't have a social security number. Nope. Which you think they would have like figured out before, but whatever. I'm sure anyway.
If he does have one, he doesn't know what it is.
He doesn't know what it is. Yeah. Like he doesn't even know how many numbers it has.
That was funny.
Yeah. And so it's like, that's the whole story. But the thing is, then Barney, the Rick Moranis character, like after he basically like, this is the first time you see him open up when he like learns how to do the merengue with these two, really attractive women. He, then you see him like pull out a gun and like actually kind of be a badass.
Be an FBI agent.
Yeah, like he does this complicated thing where he like he figures out that there's this chandelier and he's gonna he sort of tells everyone where to go, quickly like shoots the chandelier, so stops everything, shoots people. Like he's just like really, really good. And the best thing is then when Vincent goes, "Where'd you learn to do that?" He's like, "In the Force." It's like, well, obviously, like he's an FBI agent. Where else would he learn to fire a gun? Like I just found that line so it like kind of killed it. It killed me. Not in a good way. I was like, that's just dumb. But
Not just bad writing.
that was really fun, is watching Rick Moranis like be a really kind of badass with a gun that could like get himself out of any situation. Okay, so when you re-owned it, you just kind of owned it for those memories of like...
No, I remember it being a fun movie and just rewatching it, but I think it was one of those cracked it open. Ryan, watch this with me, I want to say, but I don't know if he remembers watching it. If he did, which I don't think he did. I think I made that memory up. But I think it was just like, it's a movie you lend to somebody. You got to watch this. I didn't own it for the sake of watching again because I had a fairly large collection by that point. But it just, I don't know, it was there.
Yeah, it was just a part of your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was...
So when you were 9 and also when you were later, what about the Rick Moranis and Joan Cusack relationship?
Well, at the time, it's just really sweet to find two people who had been rejected. She's, you find out about her ex-husband. She's got 2 kids, and she's just very... There's a scene in the very beginning where you've got Crystal, who is a police officer in Freiburg, and she comes in and she's all excited because there's some real crime going on right here. So now there's something for Hannah to finally do. And the thing she says when she brought him in is, he makes, this is Crystal talking about Vinnie, but we don't know it's Vinnie yet. He makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and Hannah's just like, what? That's never happened to me. She's like, well, no, of course not. She's just like, I don't know if this is Hannah talking. I don't know if I could ever feel that way about anyone unless I knew. And Crystal's, unless he has a college degree. And then she just kind of stands there. She's just like, yes. And I'm thinking, oh, don't try to make her into this stuffy, crappy archetype of just,
the uptight, kind of mousy, like. But, I mean, she's kind of Rick Moranis. I mean, she's like the same thing with Rick Moranis, right?
Well,
that she's, and you don't get the same thing. You do get that she's a little bit of a pushover, but actually, you see her being really competent with her kids and really, really competent at work.
Well, if anything,
so I find that kind of annoying.
You have 2 well-educated civil servants.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, please don't make them out to be fuddy-duddies.
I was kind of worried that. That actually disappointed me because the thing that excited me about this movie was Steve Martin and Joan Cusack. And at first I was like, oh man, is it going to be like they're going to fall in love?
Steve Martin and Joan Cusack?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the fuddy-duddy falling for the bad boy?
Yeah, but
with the heart of gold.
Yeah, with a heart of gold, supposedly. But luckily they don't. And I kind of find... You're right. I had the same reaction as you had with the Rick Moranis character, right? Like, when his wife tells him like that, you do this every other Thursday, and you're like, well, actually, like that's probably best. It's getting a haircut. Like you might as well just have a standing appointment. I mean, when I get a haircut, I make my next appointment. That's I'm
always hoping to do that, but who the hell knows when I need my next haircut?
Yeah, I try to you need
harder.
it when you need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
you could feel it when it's gone too far.
That's the thing. Yeah. And then it takes a while. But anyway, the point is, but he's like a guy with short hair, so he can't really do that.
No.
Because if I can go for months without a haircut, it just doesn't look as good.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
It's fine. It's like when it's short.
When it's a dude. Yeah. Sorry. I'm trying to make dude gender neutral. When it's a guy.
God, I hate the fact that dude is not. Well, I hate the fact that guy is not gender neutral.
Okay, so
but anyway, that's
I use dude as gender neutral all the time. But
I think dude is gender neutral.
Dude is the way I grew up. Dude is gender neutral.
But that's like guy used to be gender neutral.
I don't know.
Guys,
is it really?
It's not anymore. I kind of find it slightly irritating, but you know what? I'm willing to go with it. Especially because usually when you have to use guys plural, I'm at work, so I really don't want to get that wrong.
Yeah,
okay. So
dudes.
But let's continue down the Twitter feed. How do you guys feel about the guy thing? Guys then anyway. Okay.
Dudes.
The other dudes.
See, it's an interjection too.
Yeah. Dude, get back to it.
There was kind of an interesting dynamic because when I was younger, it was just a nice subplot watching Barney and Hannah get together.
Yeah.
But really paying attention, just like, man, just Vinnie's just a really bad influence on everybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. Like the joke, you know, trying to prove that Hannah doesn't have a sense of humor. What's the difference between a pregnant woman and a light bulb? You can unscrew a light bulb.
It's just not a good. Yeah, it's not a great joke, and yeah. And also, he's literally committing a crime in this community, which is quite idyllic.
Multiple crimes,
and they don't even like. And they're all actually like property crimes.
Yeah,
and they're genuinely. You know, it's when you walk out of the supermarket and you have no car, there's actually like shit gets kind of real, you know, like you have to figure out a way to work. You have to like call someone. There's no cell phones. It's 1990. It's very bad. So he's very self-absorbed.
Yeah. So 9-year-old me, it's just like, you know, all of these crimes that he's committing. It's just like,
but they're delightful because you don't
see the victims.
No. And frankly, this movie was you know, you're not supposed to do that. It's only my, you know, weird uptightness that makes me like this.
You know what's also hilarious? That Vinnie gets married, but it's okay because he didn't marry her under his real name.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I know this is meant to be funny. And he's also, Barney is repeating this as a joke to his colleagues and everyone thinks it's funny and Hannah doesn't think it's funny. And now she's the one who has,
like
who's uptight.
It's that whole like, oh yeah, like when women don't laugh at jokes made at women's expense, they're uptight, like, and don't have a sense of humor. I'm like, I find many things very funny. I just don't find misogyny particularly amusing. I don't know why.
And as the time it was happening, I'm just like,
but when you're a 9-year-old, like, I mean, this was everywhere. This is not like this movie is particularly egregious.
No,
in fact, we've seen movies that are
horrifically worse.
Horrifically worse.
No, this one isn't so bad. It's just like I can't ignore it anymore. But at the same time, it's just like as I'm rewatching, I'm just like, can we just get to the merengue scene, please?
I think there's also like there's an undeniable pleasure to remembering watching comedy. I think I am more likely to rewatch comedy, and it's almost like the memory of laughing is almost like, you know what? It's like the build up. It's like it's like compound laughter interest or something. Like,
this is why.
Like, okay, I saw Airplane. So I had this a couple years ago.
That movie's great.
I watched Airplane with my godson who'd never watched it, my husband, and I, the four of us. And he was actually, we thought he was like the perfect age. This is actually many years ago now that I think about it. I think he was like 12.
Okay.
And we're all adults and we watched this movie and neither of us had seen it in like 10 years, 15 years, whatever. It had been a really long time. And I remember watching it with my dad. I also remember watching Police Academy, the TV show with my father.
Oh, Police Squad.
Police Squad. I loved it so much I forgot its name. All things I love. But
Police Squad was a TV show.
Yes.
The Naked Gun was the movies.
Yes. Yeah. And I watched Police Squad and I remember finding out that it wasn't renewed, which made sense. I mean, but we were so upset. Anyway, I loved those movies at the time. The thing is, I watched it and my godson, bless his heart, who has a great sense of humor, was like, this is terrible. Like, it's not funny at all. And we were like, we totally understand why, but we have like 40, we have in the room, we have like, 50 collective years of laughing at this movie. And I was like, he's like, I don't understand why you guys think it's funny. But even thinking about Airplane makes me laugh hysterically.
First of all, how dare you? That movie is fantastic. And I'm talking about I understand why somebody wouldn't think that's funny. Bring them to a real world where this movie is no. I rewatched it recently.
Yeah.
And it was just certain parts of it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Still get me.
Oh my God. No. all of it. That was the thing. I laughed so hard watching that.
No. And for the listeners at home, you want to know how strongly I feel about this? I was having a really
Okay, we have to get Jack on this podcast and have him defend
no.
his hatred of airplanes.
Not only, okay, I was having a really, really horrible week. I purposefully found the gif of the shit hitting the fan from Airplane.
Oh my God,
to
yes.
text it to you.
Yes.
This movie is fantastic.
It's so good.
I mean, one thing I will step back for was the part where everyone was systematically beating that woman because she was being hysterical.
Yeah.
That
No, there's definitely there's problematic, and but I got why he thought it wasn't funny, or because it was. The jokes are
when the announcers,
he's probably like a little too sophisticated or something. I don't know.
The kid,
the
white zone is for loading and unloading. Don't you tell me what the light zone is?
Oh no! And the thing is, it's like it is the experience of being on an airplane.
Okay.
Is actually anyway. But regardless, I guess my point is watching this movie.
Oh, watching My Blue Heaven.
Yeah, like I was like, oh God, like. The merengue scene, brilliant. All the merengue, any scene featuring merengue, there needs to be an all merengue edit of this movie.
I'm sure we'll find it on YouTube somewhere.
Yes.
Also, at the end, there's this monologue that Vinnie gives that is actually interrupted by the mobsters who are trying to kill him because they now know where he is. I would be able to quote that to people. And I kind of want to do it now.
Do it. But you have to do it in the voice. You have to do it in the Greedo voice.
Think about this. See, I know what it's like to be disappointed. When I was 5 years old, no, 6, all I wanted for Christmas was a brand new bicycle. My favorite uncle, Uncle Alfresco, promised me he would get me that bicycle. 5 o'clock, Christmas morning, I run downstairs and look under, and actually he gets interrupted right now by the mobsters, but let's go back to where it is. 5 o'clock.
So shoot. Boo, 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 boo.
Okay, that was unnecessary.
No, it wasn't.
5 o'clock, Christmas morning.
Take issue with that.
I run downstairs and look under the tree, and what do I find? Uncle Alfresco dead under the tree, shot through the back of the head. Plus, no bicycle. It was a disappointing Christmas on many levels.
Yeah, that was great. Then he tells this huge shaggy dog story. Like he goes after the mobsters, he goes back to it. That's why I have to add the pew 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 bit. I felt like it was completely necessary, and I stand by that.
I don't know if any of this movie is necessary.
None of it is. I have to say, I did find the Italian thing I really didn't want to, but I was like, this is just insulting and kind of ridiculous.
It's kind of dumb.
Like the other actors kind of played it really well. Like you really get this thing of like, hey, this feeling of like, there are things like when you move somewhere, you think, oh, it's fine, whatever, it's moving. And then, like I'll have a new life or whatever. And then you're like, I miss like when thinking back on this movie and trying to find, I did not enjoy very much, except for the merengue. But I was like thinking back, I actually thought like some of the things about moving somewhere and trying to figure out a new place and wanting realizing like how different you are. I remember when I first moved to San Francisco, I was like, I'm so excited. And it rained every day because it was an El Nino year. And I was like exhausted, and turns out I was anemic, so that's why. So that made sense. But I remember having I was like, this. I thought this was going to be an adventure, but instead I feel very weird all the time. Like I don't know how to talk to people.
Uh-oh.
And I remember just trying to buy mayonnaise and being like, I can't find Hellman's. And I had this meltdown, and I just wanted to go home. Like I didn't have any friends yet. I was like the whole thing with my boyfriend, I was like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have moved to like clear across the country with this crazy dude.
I don't have any friends and I just want mayonnaise.
I wanted mayonnaise, and I was like, I'm sorry, there's no other good mayonnaise. Like maybe, I mean there is now maybe, but like I just wanted mayonnaise and I couldn't find the Hellmann's. And I'm like, I am living in a place where I can't even get good mayonnaise. And then I found out that it's Best Foods west of the Rockies.
Yeah. Is it like Carl's Jr. and Hardee's?
Isn't there like both of those around here? I've never been to either.
It's Carl's Jr. here, but I think it's Hardee's on the other side of like
Perhaps it is
on the other side of the
west
Sierras.
West of the Sierras. Yeah, I
up.
knew this, but I literally like had this meltdown in the supermarket, and the nice gentleman who, and it was the supermarket on my block, so the guy like knew me and was
the
like,
packaging like similar.
yeah, it is totally similar, but of course, how do you know? How do you know? What if you buy bad mayonnaise, then you can't make a tomato sandwich? It's very sad.
Who the hell's eating a mayonnaise tomato sandwich?
Oh my God, you've never had a mayonnaise tomato sandwich?
I don't like either of those.
Oh, that's true. You don't like tomatoes. This is like my favorite, tomato season. You take some good white bread.
Okay.
Toast it very lightly.
Come back to me.
What? This will take 2 seconds. Sliced tomato, pepper, fresh ground pepper, salt, mayonnaise. Not a lot. That's it. But it has to be like either white or sometimes that kind of oat nut bread. It's so good.
Sounds like you wasted perfectly good toast.
No, not at all.
What do you mean oat bread? That's not sourdough.
Like oat nut. No, actually, I do make it. Okay, the sourdough doesn't work as well. It's too small. Okay, moving on.
Come back to me.
Tell me. So now rewatching it, what was your relation like?
Oh no,
like you were watching the relationship.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I remember younger rooting for Barney and Hannah because these two nerds are clearly made for each other.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they're just like nice people. I got to say, I am very sad that I don't I was excited to see Joan Cusack be a romantic lead.
I was thinking about that. I'm just like, what other ones is she not the quirky best friend?
Yeah, but
she's also wasted.
But she's so wasted. It made me so sad. This made me so sad that she was wasted as the romantic lead.
Yeah. Yeah, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I want her to have that moment because she's just so and she plays it so well because you see what you and I are seeing now, that you see her as someone who is wants to is a civil servant.
Yeah.
And and wants to do a good job and feels strongly about these things. She really wants to raise her kids well.
Yeah.
And the first time when she goes to dance with Rick Moranis, or they go to a wedding, and they're at the Coronado in San Diego. So that's fun. And they talk about kind of how lonely they are and how kind of screwed over they felt, and just the way that they did it. It wasn't, especially her. It wasn't
it was very matter of fact.
It was matter of fact, but it was also full of kind of a pathos, but not self pity. And you could see how hard she's trying to hold it together for her kids. And she's glad the relationship's over. But there's these constant little humiliations.
Yes.
The constant little humiliations of adulthood.
Well, also her ex-husband walks in, doesn't knock on the door, and his little thing you can't just come in here like you still live here. Well, I'm not going to knock on the door of my own house. I don't live here, but it's still my house. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It is not your house.
No.
You know what makes me kind of sad is I would love to do another Cusack run, but with Joan.
Oh, that would be good.
But
we still can.
Well, we still can, but what you were just talking about, she is not a romantic lead. And that made me really sad.
You know what we could do?
It depends on where you're going with this.
Well, we should talk about it off air, but I have an idea.
Ooh.
If we wanted to do it.
Stay tuned.
Because I feel like she in a lot of her movies, she provides a lot of wisdom.
She really...
I think we can...
Right.
But
it's so hard to shoehorn things in. I was looking at that because we already did Working Girl, and she got her Academy Award nomination for that. And I saw that she'd been nominated for 2. What was the other one? She was nominated for In and Out. And I'm so bummed because she was not the romantic lead in that movie.
Made me sad.
Actually, that's a movie where if you watch it now the whole time,
I've never seen it.
your jaw will fly down. Trust me. I'll tell you about it off air.
Okay.
But okay. So it's truthfully like the whole idea of Barney and Hannah. Like let's break it down. Let's analyze this,
okay,
shall we?
let's go.
Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay. I think that when Barney is finally given his undercover assignment after they start dating, and the fact that he has to go, that's when he falls in love with her, when he has to leave her. And he actually says to Vinnie when, interestingly, Vinnie is in jail, and he actually says, I'm in love with her, and he's like pissed off about it because Vinnie gets arrested for something and she has to prosecute him because a deal went wrong and Vinnie was once again conning somebody. So I think that's where Barney fell in love with her. I don't want to be such a big cliche, but I do. No. I'm not the cliche. I'm not going to say that she fell in love with him when he sacrifices himself to get her down when there are guns fired in the courthouse. Instead, what I'm going to say is when they're at the climax and Vinnie has made his big speech and she is still thoroughly convinced that Vinnie is trying to be the good guy to avoid prosecution for embezzlement. And Barney does this very like, oh yeah, no, I knew about this months ago, but I didn't say anything because it was supposed to be a surprise for the kids. And she goes, you really expect me to believe that? And he walks up to her and goes, yes, I do. She is deciding, I disagree with it, but she is deciding that this moment is bigger than her integrity.
Oh God. Oh Joan, I love you so much. Why? I'm so happy with the Joan I get, so it's it's fine. I'm
Exactly.
not,
but again, it's that particular moment where, and also after watching this movie and being very, very disappointed with my love of June Cusack, I actually went online and watched various clips of Addams Family Values so I could watch her be like Debbie Zelensky. And I'm just like, this is using your Joan Cusack to the fullest extent possible. So I did definitely watch. And then, of course, a little bit of Raul Julia helps too.
I love Raul Julia.
So you had that. I think that's the moment where your turn.
That she falls in love with him?
Both.
What about
either
him?
or?
They fall in love. Okay.
When do they fall in love? The premise of our podcast, Polina. Go.
So I think she falls. I think she. So I was originally going to say when she starts dancing the merengue, but actually,
that's when I fell in love.
That's when, but actually, I think it's when he throws her husband out.
Oh,
I think
about
it
him being a
seals-
badass with the gun.
That's the thing.
That's him being a badass with his fists.
Yeah. So basically, he comes.
As we
Her
mentioned
husband,
before,
comes in
her
like without
ex-husband.
using, without the thing, and then he says, and basically, Barney comes down, just grabs him, sort of, roughs him up, and throws him out.
I actually didn't like
And
it.
says-
On rewatch, I didn't like it like I liked it when I was a little girl. Like, yeah, you stand up for her. But I'm like, that was a...
You could have just said it, but
I was about to
regardless,
say,
like
that-
this
that
movie
was-
is so ridiculous that I was
that
like,
was
okay,
definitely more intense than the action warranted.
probably. But I feel like he just had this moment of like feeling such protectiveness of her.
Yeah. I don't think it was about asserting dominance so much as just like, the lady told you.
Yeah,
Let's get
I
this
feel
right.
like he fell in love with her at the wedding because they get to talk, and it's somebody who's like really listening
wedding?
to him at the Coronado.
There was no- it wasn't a wedding.
the party.
Not to say, no, there wasn't a wedding.
Yeah.
He wasn't invited to that wedding.
No,
In Reno.
Yeah, no, but like the party, the dance, the party where I think just the like kind of joy that, like I think he just felt kind of comfortable and delighted, and there was somebody who really like listened to him.
Sure. No, that's really nice.
And I think he realizes it when he finally gets to go undercover, and he's like, oh my God, like this is what everything I ever wanted. Kind of like Gattaca.
I was about to say, this is exactly Gattaca.
This is just like Gattaca.
Just you work so hard for something,
yeah,
when
like
you
your
finally
whole
get it.
life, you finally get it, and it ends up being incredibly boring. Like they're just basically stuck in this hotel room,
Waiting for something.
Waiting
to
for
happen.
something.
Waiting for the criminals to
Yeah.
appear.
But then also he's like, but this just began.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a reason to stay. Now I have something that's more exciting and interesting than being undercover.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I found it really, really, really sad. So anyway, I think that's what happened. So what do you think happens to them after this movie?
Well, at the very end, Vinnie is like Freiburg's Man of the Year. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, oh God, why? And
Yeah.
and it's
Why
just,
can't Barney be Man of the Year?
well, he doesn't live there, so that kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I think what's going to happen, it's you've got this.
Wait, Barney does live there.
No, he lives in he
lives in San Diego.
He lives in San Diego because that's where his wife. He might.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's here you go. He actually moves to Freiburg, and that makes more sense because
Well, the two kids and
the two kids in the little league field that's part of the big plot of the end. The field is built, and I will say, I did love it when the little league kids come out and
in like a suit.
and their uniform is part of an entire suit thing, and it matches Vinny's suit.
And they have like numbers on the back. Yeah.
And then the Freiburg turtles because of the turtles.
Because there's this turtle,
And
and
then
then
the
they play the merengue again.
They play the band, the school band. I imagine a high school. No, I don't think it's a high school band. They were playing the merengue way too well.
We had a pretty good high school band.
Oh, okay, so well, the band is playing the merengue.
Yeah. I mean, I just assume it's the. Yeah, I have to rewatch it. I can't remember what the. Could have just been the merengue on the loudspeaker. I don't really remember.
No, they were playing.
There was playing.
Because they shoot to the band and you can see.
Well, it was open. It was the opening. But yeah, they started playing in the merengue. I don't know. Did they play like, is it every Friday night there's like a merengue band?
I bet you since Vinny moved there, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see
But
that.
there's a lot more merengue than there was before. The merengue quotient is much higher.
Much like in my life in this movie.
Yes, Freiburg. Why haven't you? Have you ever taken classes to learn merengue?
I barely took lessons to dance for my wedding.
I never took any lessons to dance.
The only reason I did is because I won them in a raffle.
Nice.
Win raffles, people.
Win raffles. I never win raffles.
How many raffles do you enter?
I've entered a lot.
Oh, okay.
I did win a pair of headphones a couple of years ago at my company Christmas party raffle.
I was there for that raffle.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
It was Bose headphones.
I wanted to win.
I was so jet lagged. I had flown in from New Zealand, and I needed to stay awake, and I had nothing else to do.
You're giving me so many reasons to mumble, bruh.
That's my humble brag. I was so jet lagged after coming back from New Zealand.
And I just won these Bose headphones.
But okay, the reality is that I was also in a boot, which I was in a one of those walking boots.
I was about to say, is this about Italy again?
Which I went into 2 days before I went to New Zealand. I couldn't walk, and I had to go into this boot. So my entire trip, which was supposed to be like, hiking, enjoying the great outdoors, I was in this gigantic boot, and I couldn't put any pressure on my foot. That was depressing. So the fantasy is much better than the reality. Though we had a great time in New Zealand.
So you're
because
saying
people in New Zealand are actually really lovely.
So you're saying that Barney and Hannah get married and they honeymoon in New Zealand?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, bringing it back.
That's a
Okay,
lie.
so what happens? They would never honeymoon in New Zealand.
Why not? You know what? Don't answer that. I think it's because their schedule is they're civil servants. They're not. I think what's going to happen is
No, it's actually a very practical vacation destination, but we'll get to that later.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'll tell you why.
I want to say that it's pretty straightforward. Barney and Hannah work really well together. He seems to get along very well with her kids. I think they're just going to... I don't think he's going to move to Freiburg because I don't think the Bureau has a Freiburg branch. But if he's in San Diego, Freiburg is a suburb, there's probably not such a big deal about him moving there. So I'm using the real thing where they filmed in San Luis Obispo. So like the real logistics of it make no sense. I'm just like, he can't live in San Luis Obispo and commute to San Diego for his job. I'm like, oh right, Freiburg is a San Diego suburb. So problem solved.
Which is strange.
Such a problem solved. Okay, he
Yeah.
moves to Freiburg. He's not very far from San Diego. He keeps his job. He has his relationship. They get together. They stay together. He's a great stepfather. He's maybe a little bit boring, but the kids are used to it because their mom is boring. But he's a stabilizing force for her, so they're very happy about it. It's just like, Vinnie is going to go back to jail. I'm sorry. He's going to keep doing this.
I think he's going to keep doing this. He's going to, like,
he writes a book, and that's going to give him a little bit of notoriety, but you can't
stop
he
it.
can't stop himself. He's a compulsive liar /
I know, and there's leaves a baby in his wake. It's very sad. Melanie Mayron actually is very good without a lot of material. I want to give some props to her, and she plays his the third wife that we run into, who has a baby, and they seem very happy.
She admires him from a distance.
Yes,
until
and then they're in danger together, and that there's that always seals
the tension.
That always creates a bond. Anyway, okay, so I'm with you. I think they live together, but actually, so one, I don't think they honeymoon in New Zealand, though I think at one point they do go because it's actually quite practical. I will tell you why. One, everyone speaks English, so very easy to get around. Two, it's very compact.
Not if you're in a boot.
Even in a boot, even for 2 weeks in a boot, we were actually able to function. But once we adjusted to our reality, and we had a great time. It's extremely easy to get around. It's very there's a lot in a very short area. There's a lot of activities and different kinds of things and just beautiful stuff in a very small area. 3, you can kayak and see Mordor. There's penguins, so that's kind of fun.
Were those independent thoughts? You can kayak to Mordor. There's penguins.
It's the same trip.
Are there
actually, you're kayaking and you're like, oh my God, there's penguins.
On Mordor?
Oh my God, over there is Mordor.
I want the penguins on Mordor.
They're probably, well, that's going to be hard. No, they're like, as you see Mordor, you see penguins.
The penguins! No? The eagles! No?
No.
Okay.
So, and it's only 20, so the jet lag, you're in a completely different country that feels really different. However, it's only 21 hours. So actually your jet lag it's 3 hours. So you don't even get much jet lag. So you don't have to spend your time in a foreign country trying to adjust to jet lag. And you lose a day, but then you get it back when you come back. So it's actually it all works out. I mean, the 12-hour flight, but life goes on. That's what drugs are for. So one day they do, maybe on their 10th anniversary. But I think what they do is they spend their honeymoon, and I think they go there every anniversary at the Coronado Hotel, where they merengued for the first time. Because that's very practical and also beautiful. It's on an island. It's a gorgeous place.
It's also, I was just going to say, I think I'd rather go to Monterey again than try to go to New Zealand. And then here you go, pulling out the exact kind of equivalent trip in the San Diego area. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
That is perfect.
I think they go on their 10th anniversary. I think that because I think he is an excellent stepfather.
I think so.
I think he loves being a stepfather.
I think so.
But I actually think that because both of them have the same basis, they both are, organized. Mm-hmm. They're both well-meaning. Mm-hmm. They both take care of, they know how to take care of things.
He teaches her how he does the syrup on pancakes.
Oh my God. Joan, is there anything you don't know?
Well, no, and that's going to be the twist. She already knows how.
Because she's thought it through. But here's the deal. Because they, there's this trust and comfort, they actually get to be playful together. And I think this is part of the kid thing, because they don't have to be they know that the other person, they already have all of these things in place. Like the haircut on Thursday means that like after the haircut, like now you don't have to think about it. And then after the haircut, you go and get ice cream at a, different flavor ice cream each time. Like they're going to,
I do feel good after a good haircut.
it does feel, it's like the best
You
feeling.
want to celebrate.
You do. You want to do something. You don't want to go home. I hate it when I get a haircut and then I have to go home because I know it's never going to look like that. Anyway, but I think actually they will bring a lot of joy into each other's lives because they neither of them has to be the adult. So, right? Because they already are and they know the other person's an adult. So nobody has to be the heavy, because they both kind of know each other's back. So they can they are going to play and they're going to just find delight in other things. So actually I think they're happier together than they are apart.
Yeah.
Not just because, they're stable, but because they get to, it's like that, Margaret Atwood, where she was talking about how structure is really good. Like for example, to dance, you need bones and so I think that they're going to be free because they kind of have the bones of, they both take care of things.
I can see them being able to ease up, because if you have two very responsible people, things will get taken care of, and in turn you can trust. Back and forth.
Yeah, and you don't have to be watching.
You can relax.
And you can relax. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
All right. Whoops.
Yeah. Okay then. There it is. My Blue Heaven.
My Blue Heaven. God, that's like a lot more than I think I've spent. I think I paid more attention to this movie talking about it than while I was watching it, because I kept being like, I should really focus on this movie. Oh, okay. How long is this?
Well, that's what happens sometimes.
That's what happens sometimes. That's the joy of the podcast.
I would also like to point out that there is the nun on the plane when they're coming back from New York, and Barney's starting to loosen up and he's telling jokes to the flight attendant, which are not really jokes. The nun, he buys a drink for a nun. It's the same woman who played Rosie in The Wedding Singer.
Oh my God.
The rapping grandma, as they call her.
Very nice.
I kind of want to make a map of all of the actors that are intertwining into all of the movies that we've covered.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea.
It sounds like a project I don't like. There's this big cluster of John Cusack and the little side Joan.
Oh God, we could do, there'd be a great
the Cusack zone.
Oh my God, that would be a great visualization.
With a little Hocktober cluster in the corner.
Actually, that's kind of a fun project.
Come back to me.
Okay.
Come back to me.
I'm looking for a good visualization project. Okay, so
there it is. My Blue Heaven.
My Blue Heaven. Okay, so what's next?
Well, thank you so much for listening.
Always.
If you have some thoughts on My Blue Heaven or Steve Martin or Saturday Night Live or any of that, you can get us.
Or tomato sandwiches. Or if you actually figured out this pancake thing and you eat pancakes better than me, I need to know.
Waste of toast. Anyways,
so sad. Sometimes I don't toast it because it's like the texture.
You can get us
very lightly toasted.
On Twitter at HEAMCast.
HEAMCAST.
We're on Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath. If you like us, you can rate, review, subscribe. You can tell a friend. We'd really appreciate it. Try to get our name out there. HEAMCast.
Yeah, we like people.
Yeah.
And to our loyal listeners, thank you for coming back.
We really appreciate it. Our next episode.
Yes.
Apparently, Polina.
I needed to. Yeah, I think I called it the Steve Martin palette cleanser.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where this fell in with the other movies he made. If it was before Parenthood or after or whatever. And I came across Roxanne. I'm like, I can't believe that's not on the list. I loved Roxanne. So that's going to be it. Roxanne.
There it is. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Thank you much.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.